Your CPA doesn't want to do your bookkeeping. But if you happen to give them a mess, they have no choice than to do it.
And
they will charge you per hour. If you're looking for somebody that does your bookkeeping, you want to have somebody who asks questions or who you can communicate with. There's a lot of people who get mad at you for questioning them for anything. You don't want that kind of relationship. A lot of bookkeepers or accountants would dump stuff that they don't get into a shareholder loans account, and that's a whole different thing to deal with. So you want somebody who communicates with you, asks questions of you. You want somebody who is on top of their game. It might take a couple of tries to be able to find the right person, but before you hire an accountant or a bookkeeper, get on a call with them. Speak to the people and don't be afraid to walk away from a relationship that doesn't serve. If you were talking to a bookkeeper and something doesn't sit right, keep walking.
Yeah.
If you're talking to an accountant and something doesn't sit right, keep walking.
I'm very, very excited to be talking with this wonderful person today, Ida, as a four. We found some similar interest, and I'm really excited to delve into what she does, who she is, how she helps the world. And actually, I'm going to embarrass you maybe a little bit. I was kind of doing a little bit of pre-research on you. I put your name onto Google. You're all over the place, by the way. You've got like a podcast, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Linktree, you've got this, you've got that. But I really like this thing that you posted June the 12th. I'm not going to share the screen. I'm going to read it from the screen. The Ida as a Four podcast channel. And you say, this is your words. Hi, I'm Ida. This is my creative space, a place where I get to share insightful conversations that I'm privileged to have with heart-centered entrepreneurs and people who wish to make an impact in the world. You know what? That's exactly why I asked you to talk to me, because I'm the same. I want to have an impact in the world. You are a mom, you're a daughter, you're a wife, you're an entrepreneur at heart with a mission to empower. So I love that. I hope I didn't steal your thunder, your introduction, but this is who she is. And welcome, Ida, to my show.
Oh my God, that is the most beautiful introduction I've ever had. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Serge. It's an honor to be here.
So Ida, tell us, let's just start with the basics. Who are you? What do you do?
Okay, so everything you mentioned in the intro already. I'm a mom, an accountant. I used to do a lot of financial coaching, and my whole thing has always been about empowering people. And then I kind of realized that what I really embrace is growth. A lot of people are going to focus on perfection. For me, no, I don't do perfection. I do progress. I do growth. And I do accounting and bookkeeping, and I serve clients from coast to coast across the whole of Canada. I'm not a CPA. I chose not to be because for what I do, I don't need to be, but I work with a lot of CPAs. But I'm the owner of Peerless Accounting. That is an accounting firm that I incorporated in 2014. And right now I do work for myself. And like I mentioned, I help clients from coast to coast, Canadian entrepreneurs coast to coast with accounting and bookkeeping and taxes, but not the whole woo-woo stuff. It's more like the thing that business owners really want to know about, really want to do, not just compliance things, but really like helping you within your business to help you make better decisions in your own business. I used to be very, very active on TikTok, and my activity on TikTok was all about financial education because I'm an immigrant. I moved over to Canada in 2010. And when I got here, I knew nothing about this country. I came in as a professional because the Canadian economy needed people from different countries to come in as skilled professionals for lots of other things. So I came in as an accountant, but coming in here, I knew nothing about the country in terms of the credit system. Coming from a cash-based system, I came to a credit-based system where you just need a good credit score to get whatever thing you want to get. And so trying to figure all of those things out, I went through the whole system. I made a lot of mistakes, got myself out of it, including debt. I got myself out of that. And so when I look back, I was trying to serve people by educating them on the mistakes I made, the things that I wished I knew as an immigrant, as a newcomer. And so if you look on my TikTok, it's a lot of education about finances, personal finances and stuff. But my background is accounting, right? And that's how I serve people. And so if you like, my business is in serving those entrepreneurs with the Canadian accounting and tax stuff. So I've done a lot of things. I've created a lot of content that when you look, you will see a lot of things. But at the end of the day, it is the growth, it is the progress, it is like how I serve people and how I want to continue to serve people is with my skill set and helping them to do the thing that I could help them to do.
So you're not an overnight, fly by night success kind of thing. And I mean, success is a relative word, but you've been around. And I do remember seeing some of the videos. You talk about different things for, what immigrants should know, like, how to do bank accounts or things like that. I can't remember exactly all the different topics, but that was what your strength was. And then most recently now you're saying that you're serving entrepreneurs and small business owners coast to coast. Where specifically, like what kind of sector, I guess? Was it any size business or what's your perfect, I guess, client avatar, if there is one?
So I do serve clients coast to coast. My biggest clients currently are in Quebec and in Ontario. And the favorite people, I have two sets of people I enjoy working with.
Oh,
The
be careful.
first
Don't
set,
cut out anybody that you.
I'm not cutting anybody out. But if you want to be the top person providing services in something, you gotta
Yeah.
specialize in a way, right? So I'm not cutting anybody out. If anybody picks the phone and calls me and I could be of service to you, I will give you the information that I can. I might not become your accountant or stuff, but it's not because I don't want to help you. It's just because like to be the best person that could help you, these are the people that I actually want to work with. Okay, so coast to coast. But most of my major clients right now is Toronto, Ontario, and Quebec. In Ontario specifically, the people that are reaching out to me are actually CPA firms who have
Okay.
clients in Quebec. I have this accounting firm that's located in Ontario, and they have a huge client in Quebec. And this client actually does work across the country and in the US as
Yeah.
well. And so they need to file because they have physical presence in Quebec, they need to file Quebec taxes. And this firm in Ontario serves them everywhere. But when it comes to the Quebec things, it could be the language, it could be
Yeah.
the being able to interact with Revenue Quebec or stuff. They just don't want to deal with it. So those are people that actually reach out to me like, okay, Ida, take care of this part. And so I really enjoy working with that group of people. And then the second group of people that are like my biggest clients would be those ones are actually based here in Quebec, but they are also in the thought leadership space. So it's entrepreneurs who deal with a lot of other entrepreneurs. So it's course creators, like somebody who has a platform and have all of this entrepreneurs in their space.
Hmm.
And they have businesses that have a lot of moving parts. Because you know how entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
Today they have this idea, tomorrow they have that idea, and it just needs to work. So if you are stuck in your bubble, it's like this is the way that something has to be done, and you're not dynamic, you don't flow with them, you don't grow with them. It becomes you become instead of being a partner to them, you become the person that stifles their growth because like you don't adapt to the things that it is that they need.
Yeah.
So I being somebody that also embraces growth, like when those people reach out to me, like, okay, Ida, we had a bookkeeper, we had an accountant, and this is what happens. Like, is this something you can help us with? Like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm embracing the mess because I like it. So that's the second group of people that I enjoy working with. But I also have people that work in different. I have some smaller clients that are in smaller niches. I would say there's this guy who does construction that actually works with me. There are but broadly, it's people who
Yeah.
identify as entrepreneurs who have a mission-driven business and they need somebody who understands them and gets them and wants to partner with them to do work for them.
I want to touch on how you said, yeah, I do work coast to coast and, I can work with a lot of people, but this is where I focus on because I want to just share, like, for me, I've been in the financial industry for like 25 years and I'm in the GTA, the Toronto area, and it is competitive beyond belief. And they always say find a specific sector or whatever. And it's only been recently in the past 2 years that I've started to focus on my own unique niche, which is future Canadian expats. And all of a sudden, all those, like, you're right, I'm an entrepreneur, and all those little butterfly ideas that were flying around before of how to get a business owner, or how to get a dentist, or how to work with this, or how to work with that, they all flew out the window. And I'm so focused now on this market that it's just really liberating, and I can actually give more of myself to this people instead of trying to learn all the different rules for all the different things. So I'm really on board with what you just said there.
Yeah,
And I hope the
exactly.
other entrepreneurs that are listening to this learn from our mistakes, I guess, or
Yeah.
our learnings here.
The thing is, usually when people say you need to pick a niche, it's like, no, but that means I'm going to be saying no to everybody else. But no, it actually means you're saying yes to this person. And so you
Yeah,
can go deeper in it.
and yours is actually even a more unique niche, because I was expecting you to say something like, "Oh, I work with construction companies or realty companies or whatever." No, you're like growth-minded entrepreneur, want to change the world, mindset people, right?
Yeah.
Because even for me, if I say I want to work with business owners, well, that's not a niche anymore. Like
Yeah.
everybody wants to work with business owners,
Yeah.
right? So that's something to delve into a bit deeper now, but let's go into what you actually do for your growth-oriented, entrepreneur-minded people. You said you're doing bookkeeping or accounting. What is it exactly what you do?
Do both. Okay. So for those CPA firms that I mentioned before, what I assist them with is whatever they need, which is usually higher level tax stuff, but just for the Quebec side of things. So I do that. But they are still the face of the client. They are the ones that meet the clients. Sometimes the clients don't even know that I exist, and that's fine. I'm not trying to take their client. They need a service from me, and I provide this to them, and that's that. But when it comes to the growth minded entrepreneurs, I'm gonna go into a story. So there's this client who found me, and I say found me because I don't actually have any marketing out there to like who hire me. It's like no, somehow the clients that are meant for me, they find me sometimes by referrals, sometimes by seeing something that I mentioned. Um, and I posted something not too long ago, and I said, if your accountant charges you by the hour, you should find a way for them to charge you by project or by month or by something. For a lot of people, it's like, no, everybody's used to billing by the hour, but it doesn't make sense. You're not selling time. You're selling a solution to a person. And what is that solution going to cost you, cost them? Something like that. So for this particular client, that I'm going to give as an example, they found me about 2 years ago, and they had been working with a bookkeeper and an external CPA firm. The bookkeeper identified, like, at one point, this entrepreneurial business got too complicated for the bookkeeper. And she was honest and she told them, you know what? You guys have gotten too complicated for me. I'm not able to serve you anymore. Please find somebody else.
That's
And
an
so
amazing, good accountant. I love that.
yeah, that was a bookkeeper. And I was like, this is
Okay.
very good. So the thing is, they didn't know who to find. And so they reached out, and when they found me, they were looking for somebody that they were gonna hire to come on payroll and be in-house and everything. And I told them, you know what, I can work as an employee. Like honestly, I've been there, I can do it. Because for me, I have too many ideas, I have too many things going. I just want to do my stuff.
Yeah.
And so if I would be a horrible employee, because I follow instructions, but not really, because the bug wants to do its own thing. And so I ended up working with these people as a client. And when I got into it, so they had the bookkeeper had identified that she couldn't proceed with them anymore. Granted, and when I got in there, I could totally understand it. Their business had gotten super complicated. They had so many courses that were going out, so many groups of like so many group programs that were going on, so many currencies they're dealing with, people in different countries as well that they're dealing with. And then they had an accounting firm that they had taken on to support them while this bookkeeper was gone. And so what would usually happen is that the accounting firm, they don't really want to do bookkeeping, but If they have to, they will, because they need to do the taxes, and you can't do the taxes without doing the bookkeeping side of things. And so they would usually have somebody who knows how to put in data but doesn't really know how to serve you. And so that was what had happened to this particular client. So the bookkeeper, the new bookkeeper from this big accounting firm, had come in and done what he could do and really made a mess of the books. And they needed results, let's say by the 14th of every month. The earliest they would ever get a result was like the 20th or 25th of the following month. And you really cannot make decisions based off of that, because the next month is almost already done before you're
Mm-hmm.
getting information for the previous month. And so how do you know that this campaign that you created works? How do you know that how do you know your cost that were associated with this particular campaign that you just finished when you're already launching the next one and you don't know how this month is doing? So they needed information quick, they needed information accurately, and they needed somebody who could at least ask them things. Because for an entrepreneur, it's like, oh, I'm going to create a course and I'm going to sell it to this. They have no idea what the implications are. Well, if you're in Quebec and you're selling to somebody in Ontario, you got to charge them HST. If you're selling to somebody in Alberta, you got to charge them GST. You're selling to the US, well, exempt. It's the same product, it's different taxes for sales taxes and stuff like that. And all of those things need to somehow be like, you need to be able to collect all of that information, report it accurately in your books, so that when it comes to the time of remitting your taxes, it comes to time of doing your year ends or anything, it all makes sense. And the operations team also has the information that they need to be able to do what they need to do. And this is across different countries, different provinces, different softwares, different programs that you're launching, or different masterminds you're launching throughout the period. And so they need somebody who just doesn't put in data, but you need somebody who can connect the dots between what is the implication of this thing I'm doing and how do I make sure that all the things I'm doing right now, it's like it's giving me the information I need, and it's giving my external accounting firm the information they're going to need at the end of the year. And I know that you get me, because the questions you ask me helps me understand that you understand what you're doing and you're reflecting that in my books correctly. And so when I came in, and this is one example, but when I came into this client stuff, I was like, first of all, I'm not going to be on payroll. This is how it's going to work. I'm not going to charge you by the hour. This is what it's going to be. Um, you want your results by the 14th of the month. We're going to make sure you get the results by the 14th of the month. This is stuff I'm going to need. And so we have an open communication. And it's like, if there's something I don't know, I'm going to ask you that question until you get me an answer. Because if I don't get an answer, then I can serve you the way you need to be served. And then you don't know that I'm doing what I need to do. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's a mess. And so one thing that I usually do for a lot of clients is I come in and I demystify whatever mysteries have been created by other people. And then we stay on and we continue working in that way. And so entrepreneurs love that. They have somebody who can understand their quote unquote mess, because entrepreneurship is messy. But if you can get it, then it's really not messy. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts. And you need to be able to move along with those things and give them the results that they need and help them, like serve them in the way that they need to be served. So those are people. I'm a quote unquote crazy entrepreneur like that. And so when I see my people, it's like, okay, let's put some order in your mess so you can go be crazy in an organized way.
I'm wondering what the process you take people through when they first meet you. And I'm assuming, please correct me if I'm wrong, that if it's coast to coast, you are doing everything virtually. Is that correct? Or do you also
Yes.
do in person?
95% of my clients are virtual.
Okay. Imagine I'm that crazy entrepreneurial client reaching out to you, and I got my ideas all over the place. I can't even explain it to myself. I just know I'm going to be a gazillionaire in, 5 years and sell my company or whatever. What do you do? Like, how do you get to understand their vision as well as they do? Take me through that process.
Okay. So a simple answer is follow the money. So what I mean by that is, how do you make money in this business? Okay. Walk me through the client experience. Where does the client land to make a purchase from you? Okay, so there is a platform that has a payment gateway and the money comes from there. Does that platform allow for you to be able to collect the right amount of sales taxes? based on their location. And so we get to understand what your existing process is, where are the potential loopholes that exist in this process. Before I try to suggest anything, I want to understand what you currently do, because I don't want to come and change something that is working. Maybe somebody had just not taken the time to understand it. So I want to understand, like, what is it you currently do? Okay, I bill my clients on PayPal. Okay, does PayPal collect the sales taxes? No, then okay, we got to stop doing that. Is it able to collect sales taxes? Yes, no. If it's not, what are we able to replace that with so that it collects, or then PayPal just becomes a payment gateway, but you have to do an invoicing system in the back end so that you're doing what needs to be done. And so first I want to understand what you currently do. We try to identify what are the loopholes in what you currently do before I could even suggest something to do differently. But for all of the clients, in order for me to be able to serve them properly, I want them all to be on the same kind of accounting software. And for me, I have a single preference. I have one. I don't need to mention it right here. I've said it in all of my videos, and this is not to promote them. So, but for me, and I encourage a lot of accountants and bookkeepers to do this, pick one software for accounting and bookkeeping, and get all of your clients on it. That way, you know how to use this thing. And so that if there is a problem, you're not trying to figure out, is it my understanding or my lack of understanding of this software, or is there actually a problem that I can identify? And so it's looking what's your current process, where are the loopholes in this process? Let's fix that before I could suggest new things for you. And 50 to 70% of the times, there are a lot of missing parts that I then identify. And it's like, okay, from here to here, okay, all of this now, where is this information? Oh, we don't get it, or we don't capture it. Or if we do capture it, like, okay, let's look at that. And then I would look at your existing system, definitely, ideally the same one that I use. And so far, because of the way I place my stuff, everybody who's come to me uses the software that I want them to uses the software that I support. So I think it's based on what I've written in my bio or wherever they find me. They already know that, hey, if I'm looking for, if I'm reaching out to Ida for this, it's because she is the person to go to for this particular thing. And so it's very personalized for each person, but just to the level of, or just to the extent of trying to understand what your business is about, so I could see how best to serve you. And if you don't have a system, then we implement one.
Okay. All right. So I'm starting to get a very clear picture of what you do and who your clients are. And initially, I misunderstood when I was in my mind thinking that you're working with entrepreneurs that are, specifically on the maybe on the social media space or creating out information out there, and they might be just working from a laptop in their home or something. But am I right to assume that it could also be for an established company that has decided, hey, I want to I want to start another marketing area of my company by getting onto social and creating other ways to create income. Do you do that too? Like, let's say if I'm uh, working in the construction industry, right? And like I've seen a lot of it. Like, okay, so here's the thing:
Okay.
I have something happening in my home. I don't want to pay a plumber if I don't have to, right? So I'll go on YouTube and I'll put the la la la. And I found so many like actually masters of their craft that actually their day job is construction or renovation, but they've got this amazing presence online with YouTube and they're getting Patreon and this and that and whatever. It's not their main income, but they actually do that too. Do you work with those clients too, or is it?
I currently don't have anybody who is like that. It is established businesses that have a lot of moving parts,
Okay.
and they want to streamline and simplify and get their data the way that it needs to be had.
Right.
But in any case, if somebody reaches out to me, usually they would have a bunch of questions that I'm happy to provide answers to, provide guidance to. But if it's not a fit, I'll say, you know what, it's not a fit, and maybe I can't be the one helping you, But here's the other cool part about what I do. I'm teaching a lot of accountants and bookkeepers to do what I do
Yeah.
in another part of my business. So part of the people who will be part of my network, I'm still building that out. They could be a fit for plumber who's starting to do this or construction guy who's starting to do XYZ. So
Mhm.
there is another side of my business that I'm building out to be able to serve those clients that I can't serve, but they need an awesome accountant slash bookkeeper who can do for them what needs to be done.
Okay, so here's a question. If they already have an accountant, why would they need a separate bookkeeper? Don't accountants do the bookkeepings too? Would someone just hire to do everything, or would they have their accountant and in conjunction with you to do your side of things? How does that work?
Okay, perfect. So depends on the size of the company, depends on what you're looking for. Now, for this example client that I was giving, their business happens to need audit services. I don't
Okay.
do audits. And so they have an external CPA firm that comes in to do the year end stuff. So everything is done by me. Me and my team, we do from the bookkeeping to the accounting to sales taxes to payroll taxes to everything that needs to be done, except for the company that needs audit. This external CPA firm does the T2 year end tax return and the audit report.
Mhm.
So, like I said, it depends on the size of your business. I do have clients that we do from the basic bookkeeping all the way to doing the year end tax filing T2. But if it has to do with audit, not me. I don't do
Gotcha.
that. If it has to do with something which is like public accounting, not me. I don't do that. Not interested in doing that. And so the vast majority of businesses don't need to have both a bookkeeper and an accountant. The vast majority of businesses would just take one person who could, one firm that can do all of that. So if you could have, let's say, an admin person who is good at putting in data into your system, then your CPA firm or accountant at the end can just come in, take whatever information has already been put accurately into your system, and then prepare your year end. Now, here's the thing. Your CPA doesn't want to do your bookkeeping. But if you happen to give them a mess, they have no choice than to do it. But
And
if
they'll
you
probably
ask them,
charge you per hour, and they'll
they will
charge you.
charge you per hour.
Right.
And often, like what I saw with this particular one, they have people who do bookkeeping in-house who are barely good at bookkeeping. And so they would put things in a place that makes sense so that they can have the numbers to do your year end. Now, is that information relevant to you? Does it accurately reflect what your business really is? Or does it just make sense for tax purposes?
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying, right? So it depends on what the level of information you need. Are you trying to use your accounting system or your bookkeeping system to make decisions within your business? Or are you just doing it because the government needs you to file T2s at the end of the year? And so you need somebody which is going to make sure that the T2s are done. Depends on what you're doing in your business. If you need your thing to give you information that you can use to make decisions on an ongoing basis, then you need your bookkeeper, and then you need the person that's doing your accounting, your taxes at the end of the year. So it really depends on the size of your business and what you're looking for.
Okay. All right. Um, what would your advice be to entrepreneur who is looking to establish a trusting relationship long term with a bookkeeper, accountant, CPA? What should they do? Like you said, you don't do marketing. Like, how do they find a good person, and what should they do to establish that relationship from your side of things? Like, what would you recommend?
For my favorite clients, the things that I find works is ongoing communication. So you need to find an accountant. Let's say you're looking for let's do this two ways. If you're looking for somebody that does your bookkeeping, you want to have somebody who asks questions or who you can communicate with. There's a lot of people who get mad at you for questioning them for anything. You don't want that kind of relationship. Those people who, when there is information in your system and they don't know where to put it, they would throw it into an account called shareholder loans. And that
Mm,
account just builds up, and you have no idea what that is. A lot of bookkeepers or accountants would dump stuff that they don't get into a shareholder loans account And that's a whole different thing to deal with. So you want somebody who
Hmm.
communicates with you. You want somebody who asks questions of you. You want somebody who is on top of their game. It might take a couple of tries to be able to find the right person. But before you hire an accountant or a bookkeeper, get on a call with them, have the conversation with them. Just, you will feel it. If it's somebody who, like this
Knows
thing
their
in here, the
stuff,
gut, your
right?
intuition, yeah.
Yeah.
Speak to the people and don't be afraid to walk away from a relationship that doesn't serve. Like if you were talking to a bookkeeper and something doesn't sit right, keep walking. If you're
Yeah.
talking to an accountant and something doesn't sit right, keep walking.
I think you're right because I mean, I don't know anything about accounting, but the way that you've been talking, I feel like you know your stuff. You're throwing out T2s and this and that and whatever, shareholder loans, lingo that makes me close my eyes slowly and want to go to bed. But the fact that you know about it puts my mind at ease. And I think you're right. You get that feeling because as the entrepreneur, you don't know what to ask sometimes. Like, how would I know where to put the stuff? You're supposed to know.
Yeah,
Yeah. But until you talk with someone, I think that's a great idea. Doing a fit
yeah,
meeting. Do we fit together?
yeah, yeah. And here's the thing, right? A lot of times when people get on quote unquote discovery calls, all they're talking about is price
Mm,
because that's all they know about.
yep.
And I get that when people call me and it's like, Ida, I'm looking for a bookkeeper. How much do you charge for bookkeeping services? Like, what do I know? How do I know what you're looking for? And I'm not talking to you to gauge the
Yeah.
your financial capability of paying me. No, I'm talking to you to understand what do you need? Do I want to work with you
Yeah.
before we even get to price?
I love
But
it.
the first call from a lot of clients is how much do you charge per hour for bookkeeping? I
Oh,
don't
I
sell
hate that.
time.
Yeah, I get that
Exactly.
too.
Exactly. And a lot of accountants are just going to blurt out, okay, we charge $250 per hour. Okay, like, what am I getting? And then the conversation is stuck on price. But you need to, both ways, your bookkeeper or your accountant you need to feel like they're asking you questions to understand your business.
Hmm.
And you need to feel like you're getting a sense of what they're going to do for you
Yep.
in order for that relationship to become what it is that for it to be like, okay, yeah, I think I found my bookkeeper or I think I found my accountant. Like, have the conversation. Don't just go on prices.
Yeah, I love that. I tend to slow things down immediately when someone calls me and recommend we talk first to see, do we like each other? Do we trust each other? And is there any value we can offer each other? And I
Yeah.
recently had that conversation about a week ago with a potential future Canadian expat. Lots of information. And at the end, I said, you know what? Like, we do like each other right now, but I've always learned let's give us a 48-hour cooling down period. Take it home, think about it, let's see what happens, and we'll decide in a couple of days. And sometimes I get clients, sometimes I don't. And in the past, I would be upset about it. Like, I should have had that client.
Mm.
But then I just realized, I'm weeding out the people that, for whatever reason in their life, there's no right or wrong answer. They're not ready at this point to move forward. And that's a huge time saver for me because there's a lot of work involved in
Yeah.
financial planning. So
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
process.
But and also in that, so yes, you want to take your time, you want to trust your God, but you don't want to take too much time
Yeah.
because when you get the feeling, you get the feeling. If it's time for you to move on with this person, I think you kind of know.
Yeah.
And the 48-hour thing could come back and bite you because it's like, ah, okay, like no, I don't think. But at the time you were talking to the person, you both knew that you wanted this. And
Yeah.
so I guess you need to figure out what
It's
it
the
is that
right
works for
balance.
you,
And
figure
you're
out your
absolutely
rhythm.
right. Sometimes I don't do that, but it's a good insight that you have there because you're right. Sometimes it's like, yeah, take the weekend to think about it. No, I don't really need it.
Yes. One of those things came back to bite me one time. Like I learned a lesson. So
Speaking from experience, there you go. There
yeah.
you go.
Okay. So there was this client that called me up. There was this person that called me, a Quebec-based business, solo owner, but he has a team and it's kind of big. They work with a lot of companies right here in Montreal. And so when I spoke to this guy, turns out his his system was more messy than what he realized.
Hmm.
And so they were on one software. They used to be on one software. They switched over to another one, but didn't quite switch over. So there was data in that one, and they were doing here, and the accounts never ever balanced, but they kept going with this one. And then their bookkeeper had a personal situation that they couldn't quite make the two systems like completely switch from that system to this one. And so they were kind of doing things here and kind of still referring to things here, and none of the systems were complete. And so because of that situation, they fell back and they couldn't file their sales taxes. They couldn't file their payroll. Well, they kept going with payroll because payroll was done in a separate system. They couldn't file the sales taxes. They couldn't file their corporate income taxes, and they were just late. And so this guy calls me. It's like, okay, either my bookkeeper has this situation. I need you to come in. And so we spoke, and I got in there. And when I got there and I saw it's like, it's so much more than what you thought it was. And I put this guy that I sat him down. I said, here is the situation. This is what it's going to take. You thought it was a couple of months, but it's 2 years
Oh my goodness.
of stuff that needs to be done. So you got to make a decision. Are you using this software? Or are you using this software? If it's this software, sorry, I can't support the software, but I could help you make sure that this is complete. And then you would find somebody to continue to maintain this.
Hmm.
If we're moving back to this software, then yes, we will do everything and get it over here, and we'll stop using this one, but this is what it's going to be.
Right.
So the guy understood everything. And then we came to a conclusion. We concluded on the price. I sent an email. It's like, yes, proceed. I didn't take payment. We started the work. That was on a Friday. And they needed it like rush rush. Like, okay, I'm going to put everybody on my team on this thing. So we started off the work. The guy had the weekend to cool off. Monday, changed my mind. The whole team had dropped what they were doing, and they were on this because they were a mess. They were getting all sorts of threatening letters from the government. Quebec, the government loves this thing where they just auto assess and say, okay, this is how much you owe us, pay us this amount. And so we said, we don't want to deal with that. We want to help you get one thing going. And so to your point,
Yeah.
when you know, you know. But we put in a lot and we started doing it. And then Monday is like, change my mind. I'm like, so
Yeah.
that was a loss.
But that's
And
the
a lot
beauty
of
of entrepreneurship and interaction, human interact. You have a okay. I think what I'm taking away from this is that you have a process.
yes.
It doesn't mean that it's rigid. I mean, you just said you're not a perfectionist, right? You want to
Yeah.
grow. So when there's little parts that don't quite fit into the process, you're willing to adjust. And really comes down to, you said another important word, communication.
Yeah.
Understand the client, what they need. Can I help them? If not, here's something to help you along the way. Talk with this person instead, because I'm sure you have a lot of connections. And then that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just gonna give a general piece of quote unquote advice to all the entrepreneurs who might be listening there. A lot of people really underestimate the value of bookkeeping and accounting in their business. And a lot of times people would ignore that until they get to a point where they cannot ignore it anymore. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of professional services out there. Like insurance, you don't think about insurance until when you have a situation like, oh, I wish I had insurance. But so it comes down to bottom line, you get what you pay for, right? And yes, there are certain things that are quote unquote overpriced. And so you need to figure out what it is that sits well with you, but you cannot discount the value or the importance of having the right people on your team, on your financial team, accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, insurance, financial planning. You cannot discount the importance of that. So you need to find people that are heart-centered, people that have or seem to have your interest at heart, hopefully have your good interest, your best interest at heart. You will find those people and just make sure that they stay in your corner, become their client or stay in their network, or just have that relationship with them that you know that this is somebody that I could always pick up my phone and call, especially for your accountant or bookkeeper. Have that person that you know you can call them anytime and you're not afraid that they're going to be charging you extra for speaking to them. because I hear that a lot. I'm afraid of calling my accountant because they're just going to send me another bill for the hours that I spoke to them. But no, find a way to build that relationship with the right person and pick up your phone and speak to your accountant, pick up your phone, speak to your bookkeeper. Don't be afraid to speak to them because they should be having your best interest at heart. And if not, then keep walking and find somebody who has your interest at heart. If you love this video, check out this one right here next to me. I think you'll love it.